Welcome back. Our next guest tonight is making Restoring Hope history. He is the first guest to make a second appearance. Tom Shevlot from Life Centers is back tonight. Tom, thanks so much for joining us again.
My pleasure.
You are the Executive Director of Life Centers.
Yes, sir.
For those that don't know your work real well, give us a brief overview, a reminder of what you do.
Yeah, sure. So Life Centers was started in 1982 under the name at that time was called Crisis Pregnancy Centers. And we're essentially a pregnancy resource center for men and women that are looking for help in their times of challenge. We have 6 centers throughout the greater Indianapolis area. From anything from pregnancy tests to coming in for diapers. We offer abortion recovery counseling. So we kind of run the gamut of anything that's pregnancy related in families.
And the last time you were here, we talked more extensively about that, but tonight we want to focus a little bit more on the mental health aspect, especially of your folks who are dealing in that world, in that space of difficult work, mentally straining, emotional work all the time.
Yeah.
What has this season of life, especially with the pandemic, been like for you?
Yeah, probably not unlike many. It's been a little bit of a challenge, especially when you're dealing with a lot of isolation. And so a lot of our clients feel like there's no place to go anymore for help. And so we're there to provide that help. But the thing that I've learned over the last probably 8 to 12 months is that our staff is dealing with, in many cases, a lot of very challenging situations. And those challenging situations are a client comes in and she takes a pregnancy test and she's pregnant, and her first words to the counselor is, well, I'm going to go get an abortion. And so that counselor's not there to try to talk her out or into anything. We just provide information about, okay, what is an abortion? Let me tell you about that. And so those sessions go pretty long. And I'll just give you a quick example. Just this morning, I learned that one of our center directors in one day dealt with 4 clients that were all what we call abortion vulnerable. That's heavy.
Yeah.
But then for us to be able to provide a resource to our staff that, hey, we know you have heavy days. We want to provide opportunities for you to talk to somebody and maybe just share what's on your heart and what's on your mind. And for a counseling service like Crosswinds to be able to come in and then meet her where she's at so that she can come back into the workforce engaged and inspired and feeling that I've got good counsel, I've got good feedback, I've got good advice from the person I met with, and so that she's back in the center ready to serve again.
So what feedback have you gotten from your staff? Share a story or two of your staff coming to you and saying, wow, this really helped me, this meant so much, I actually navigated this with Crosswinds. Approaching that mental health aspect and not ignoring it. Tell us about what that's meant to them.
Yeah, I'll kind of speak more in generalities because I've made it a personal mission of mine that I don't want to know who's using our this service or not. That's between her, our staff, and the counseling service. But I will tell you, I did reach out and try to get an idea, is this being used? Is it being useful? And the feedback that I'm getting is, it's been tremendous because up until we joined with Crosswinds, we didn't have any opportunity or any vehicle for my staff to go and look for help. But now, the feedback that I've got from my center director, didn't say who it was, but she said, I just want to tell you that one of our staff members was really going through a challenging situation. And for us, Life Centers, to be able to provide her this opportunity to go to talk to someone else, and it didn't cost her anything. She said she came back in after a couple times and she just had a new spirit about her. She just had a new calm about her. So that tells me that we're doing the right thing and providing the right service to help our staff go through these challenging times.
I think a lot of times, something you briefly touched on, we don't think about the people doing the help.
Right.
Your folks are predisposed to being the helper.
That's right.
So they go through these days where they have 4 of those conversations, and suddenly they're not just the helper, they're someone who does need to have that conversation who does need help, and it's a different perspective when you think about it that way.
Yeah, and I think I look at it as you've got to provide resources in order for people to stay encouraged, engaged, and if you don't do that, they're almost like a vending machine where people keep pulling out. And Stephen Covey talks about this in one of his books, is you want to be able to have deposits put in because of all the withdrawals that people are doing.
Right.
And so what a deposit to me would be offering counseling service like we have. So we're depositing into our staff good things so that when she's in the center and she has one of those tough days, that she's nourished enough to be able to go through it.
Yeah.
And yeah.
I've heard it said you can't give away what you don't have. So if you
Yes.
don't have good mental health, if you're not in a good place, it's hard to then give that out to somebody.
Yeah, and I'd say the other thing that I find important, most businesses, nonprofits, are dealing in a challenging environment with respect to employment. You know, there's help wanted signs everywhere. And our work isn't easy.
Right.
And I wish we could pay our staff more, but when we can provide other services or things like this that's part of their total compensation package, it just adds value to what we do.
That is wonderful. Tom, thanks for doing that.
My pleasure.
Thanks for being back.
I'm glad to be invited back.
Yeah, I am a little mad at you. I'm not used to being the one with the second coolest socks.
Oh, come on.
Anywhere I go. I mean, I've got stripes going, and they're pretty good.
Well, they're pretty good, but yeah.
Your stripes are better.
Well, I wouldn't say better. They're just different colors. Just maybe add another color or ring or two.
I feel like yours are better. Tom, thanks so much for being here.
My pleasure.